For many of us across the world, it is now the summer break, and many of you are saying to me that you want to go pro this summer. Luckily for you, this is the perfect video for you guys, as I'm sharing with you 5 steps which, if followed and applied correctly, will help you get closer to becoming pro this summer. If you do enjoy this video and find it helpful, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into the first step. Okay, so step number 1 is going to be finding a solid duo partner. Now this is extremely important because you and your duo need to both be motivated to grind comp at the same rate. There's no point you wanting to play comp loads and the duo partner not wanting to play so much. That will not work. You guys both need to want and put in the grind in order to get better at the game over this summer. Now you and your duo want to have structured times which you're going to come on and play, and also set tournaments which you're going to be participating in. For example, if you play the duo cash cup every single week, you want to make sure you stick to that and you come on at the same time to practice with your partner. This helps to build consistency within your gameplay, which is especially important to help build chemistry, especially if you don't know your duo partner in real life and it's just someone that you found online. Now what I also want you guys to do is find a group of 3 or 4 people. This can be you, your duo, and then maybe another duo, and you come together into a little group where you can all practice competitive to grind together. The reason why is because if all of you play scrims or the solo victory cups, for example, you can all identify weaknesses and strengths within the other team's gameplay, and that will help both of you guys improve. Now if you are looking to find people such as a duo or this sort of group that I'm describing, I do have a Discord server, the link to which is in the description down below. In this Discord server, we do have a looking for team section where you can find like-minded people that you can look to be your duo, or also people that want to grind Fortnite with you as well. Now, whilst I just mentioned a lot of wanting to grind at specific times every week and playing lots of tournaments, it is inside that you guys have to remember, and this is step 2, that you don't want to sit inside all day every day. You see, it is important over this summer break that you guys go out and have fun with friends. This might be playing online, but you also want to make sure you go outside, for example, playing sports or spending time with family, amongst other things. You see, this is what's important about summer, and this is what you guys will remember when you get older. So as much as you don't think about it now, it is important that you go outside and have some fun times. Also, another benefit to this is that if you sit inside grinding Fortnite all day every day, you may risk getting tired of Fortnite and burning out. Everyone does experience burnout, and it's not nice, and you don't want it to happen. Especially if you want to go pro, you need to stay consistent and committed to playing the game. You can't afford to grind it loads for a week but then take breaks afterwards because you don't enjoy playing. That isn't sustainable. Moving on to step number 3, it's all about using the time that you are online effectively. If you guys want to make the most progress over these 6 weeks that you have summer, you need to make sure that whenever you're online, you're focused. Now, what do I exactly mean by being focused? Well, for example, it's not just messing around, having a laugh. As important and funny as that is, if you guys actually want to go pro, you need to be strict with yourself when you're online. Over the time period which you set yourself per day, let's say it's 2 hours for example, you need to be playing scrims or practicing mechanics or learning more new skills and techniques that you can use during fighting. You see, scrims, new techniques and different aim training, like I've all just mentioned, will benefit you when it comes around to those tournaments. Messing around in weird creative maps will not. And this is why it's important that you guys do use that time when you're online effectively, because you want to practice everything that you have learned once you've learned it over the course of the 2 hours every day at the end of the week in the tournaments, for example, whether this be the solo victory cups or duo cash cups for the rest of the season. I think it's important with tournaments as well that you're not afraid to do worse in the short term just because you're trying to implement new strategies. For example, if you have just learned something in scrims like your best endgame rotation or something, do try this out in the solo victory cups. Do try this out in the duo cash cups. Don't be afraid to make yourself do worse in the short term, as it will have a longer term benefit. You see, even if you place 5,000 and something now by trying a new strategy, if you can implement that strategy successfully week on week on week, eventually this will lead to you getting top 1,000s, top 1,500s, and maybe even qualifying to a finals and getting those first earnings that you so dearly want. Now, step 4 leads me quite on well from step number 3, and it is going to be avoid spending your time online playing ranked. Now, whilst many of you might like ranked, I'd hope not this season because of the cars. Ranked is very unskillful, and I know that for the next 2 weeks or so, cars are disabled in ranked until the 18th of July, which is obviously a benefit as it means that people will actually fight without running away in cars like they have the whole season. However, me personally, I haven't really played ranked at all this season, and I would recommend avoiding it when you are online. You see, time spent in ranked in my mind is basically time spent wasted. Whilst it does replicate perfectly in-game scenarios and fights, allowing you to get them sort of nerfs which you might get when fighting in a tournament, for example, these fights are less important than endgame practice in scrims. For example, let's take a tournament. I'm sure many of you fail in a tournament due to dying off spawn or not getting far enough in endgame. Let's take the Solo Victory Cup, for example. You get 33 points for coming in 7th place, but then you get 65 points for the win. So very much making deep into those endgames is what is most important. Now, in a scrim, you get to practice off-spawn fighting because you have to win your drop, let's say until there is 80 players alive. This is obviously noble scrims practice from EU. Now, let's say also that you do have to practice your endgames, as we know that there is often active Storm Surge in these scrim games, allowing you to practice both your early game fights and obviously winning your spawn, and also your late game and sort of late mid game dealing with Storm Surge and then winning the end game. So scrims allow you to practice all of them different parts of the game in one particular game, whereas ranked, there is no end game. Fighting off spawns are 50-50 and is incredibly scuffed, and you just don't really get enough practice from it. Now, you see, both of the skills that I've mentioned, such as endgame and off spawn, can be effectively practiced in certain scrim servers. This could be noble scrims if you're on EU, or manual or elite scrims if you're on NA. Obviously, you can find these Discord links all over the internet. They're pretty decent to join. But if you just play maybe 4 or 5 scrim games per day and you identify why you have gone wrong in each game and how it's led you to die, if you then try not to do this again, maybe take a little notepad of what you've been doing wrong, and then you try and iron these things out of your gameplay, scrim game by scrim game by scrim game, you guys will see improvement and you will start to play better, which will then translate into your tournaments. Now, following on from this, I want to talk about not setting stupid targets and expectations of yourself. You see, it's important that you don't overstretch yourself when playing Fortnite, obviously during this 6-week grind period. The thing is, if you try and demand yourself to play 5-6 hours every single day, like I've mentioned earlier on in the video, you might find that you actually get burnt out and get tired of Fortnite. And also that you might find that you get more frustrated if you think that you're putting in 6 hours every day, but actually this 6 hours isn't effective practice and you're not progressing as fast as you would like. I think you guys should settle somewhere between the 2 or 3 hour range of effective practice every single day, or maybe 5 or 6 days a week, with some days for breaks where you guys can obviously enjoy life, obviously go out party in the summer like I've already said. But why it's important that you guys don't overplay Fortnite this summer is because you might then expect to progress too quickly. If you end up expecting to progress really fast, this could have a negative impact on your mentality. So what do I mean exactly by talking about mentality when trying to go pro? Well, you see, it's pretty much impossible to go pro from Fortnite from pretty much nothing within 2 weeks or a month. Even if you're an average player at the moment with, let's say, 50 PR, it's very impossible to go pro next month and all of a sudden have 2,000, 3,000 PR. Obviously, we do have a 6-week break period, and do I think you can gain 250, 300 PR over this period? Of course I do. Many of you might even have a chance, or some of you might even be successful in gaining earnings, depending on how structured and simple your routine is and whether you stick to it or not. But what I want to say is that don't expect to all of a sudden go pro tomorrow. Just because you're going to put in this practice for 6 weeks does not mean by the end of it you will be the next Peterbot. However, I do want to talk about Peterbot and the fact that one time these players started out with 0 PR. These players weren't born naturally incredible at the game. Obviously they could have an advantage and others that they progressed quicker. However, at one point Peterbot had 0 earnings. At one point Mr. Savage had 0 earnings. You see, you guys might be in that situation now, but if you continue with a structured routine and practice, I guarantee you that you will begin to see progression. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, it might take a few months, maybe even, but if you guys continue sticking with this grind period, you will see progression, and hopefully by the end of summer you will be in a better place than where you started. In fact, I can almost guarantee you, if you stick with a routine and you practice all the way through summer, you will be better at the end of summer than you was right now. Now, that is pretty much all I have in 4 steps to go pro this summer. If you do have any questions or queries or tips yourself, please feel free to head down the comments and help out the community by letting us know. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure you smash that like button and check that you are subscribed. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out from me.